message is on. If you're watching, let us know if you went and hugged your donkey for Valentine's Day. There we go. Now I found it. Okay.
And how many times you hugged your donkey on Valentine's Day?
Yeah. Did you hug your donkey on Valentine's Day? Okay, we're going to wait for a second for people to hop on. And today, this is going to be really focused on beginners.
Kind of like some days it feels like we're beginners every day.
It does feel like that sometimes. All right, guys. Let's see here. Got a couple people on now. Okay. So we're talking about something I see beginners struggle with all the time. And it's like, where do I start training my donkey? What do I do? What do I do first? What do I do second? That's the kind of stuff we're going to talk about. So do I start leading first? Do I start on their feet first? Or how do I build trust without creating fear? And that is an obstacle for donkeys. The bigger question underneath all of this, though, is how do I make progress without overwhelming myself or my donkey? And both are real. I used to come in crying, trying to figure out what to do with Seamus because he wouldn't budge. That donkey would not move to save his life. So I would go out for a half hour trying to take him on a walk, and we'd never even get past the driveway. So I've been in your shoes. If you're struggling, I've struggled with this stuff, all of it.
I've seen the tears.
Now, safe training, it doesn't start with the halter and it doesn't start with leading. It starts with creating trust with that donkey, and it starts with your mindset. Like, that's going to be the most important thing, because it is so easy to get overwhelmed and frustrated and think my donkey's never going to learn, because they're always asking, well, am I safe? Are you a good enough leader? They want to know that. So we're going to have 5 points that we talk about today, guys. And the first one is that trust starts with emotional regulation. Now, right now, we have 7 donkeys in the gentling pen.
Sounds about right.
Something like that, yeah. And like Richard, if you guys have heard us talk about Richard, today he followed me. Like, he's eating from the feed pan, from almost my lap. I have to kind of hold it at an angle. And he's starting to take steps towards me. So these are all like good progress for him. And then today he followed me into a different training pen, which was the first time ever. And guess what? Once we got out there, he said, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm safe. So we went backwards once we were out there. But he could hear more of the traffic where he was at.
Yeah.
We live off from the highway. And so it's okay. Just know that they're always asking if they're safe. And they feel pressure differently than horses. So a horse, when they feel pressure, they're often, and this is not without exception, but they're often going to go forward. They're gonna move. They're gonna try to get away from that pressure. But a donkey, when they feel pressure, they're gonna brace.
Yep.
And that brace can cause a lot of confusion and frustration. So if they feel trapped, that's what they're gonna do. They're just gonna start bracing, and then you're gonna be waiting forever for them to get out of that braced mindset.
And it can be a long time.
Now, like when I'm working like with Richard, who is the slowest one out there in the whole bunch, I'm always working on asking a question that he can say yes to. So like today I had to move the feed pan really close to him, like almost underneath his nose, to get him to start saying yes again, because he was so nervous. Now safety, it's not controlling him, and it doesn't mean I get to control him. I have to wait for him to feel safe. And that might be a huge, giant difference between horses and donkeys.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, if their nervous system starts to overload, their learning is going to stop. So that's why we have to keep asking questions that they can say yes to.
Yep.
Now, I've had somebody actually recently ask, they just brought home a new donkey, and they want to know if they should start with leading or with their feet. Now, Dan and I disagree on this. I think that the two can start together.
Together?
Yeah.
Not one or the other first?
I don't think it matters which one is first. I think that you're starting together.
But you want to be careful that the donkey has some level of trust before you go reaching, working on the legs.
So speaking of that, like I said, we have 7 donkeys that we're gentling at this very moment. And let's see, Elton John, he's kind of like his own man out there. And he has not given any sign that he's gonna bite or kick or do anything. But because he's so much of his own man, I got out the long stick to start with him, and we've got a whole bunch that we didn't even use the long stick on.
Yes. Yep.
Because they are so engaging and wanting to be with us, and they don't like move away quick. If we were starting with Red, or if we could even remain close enough to Richard, I would be starting with the long brush.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because there's donkeys that when working with them, that this is going to be easy when you're working with them. Then there's some it's like, yeah, I really would like to keep the nose attached to the front of my face, so let's use the long brush when we start working down those legs. The long brush is just about a 3-foot stick with a scrubbing brush on the end that we use as an arm extension.
It's just duct taped on, guys. It's
Yeah,
nothing
it's nothing fancy, just like a toilet scrubber tied to a short piece of broom handle or duct taped. Yeah, you did the masterful duct taping.
I did, yeah.
Yes, yes.
So when we're doing that, we're building trust at the same time. So if your donkey doesn't already accept a halter, you can be breaking your sessions up. You can have some where you're working on getting them comfortable, having their feet or their legs petted or brushed with the long brush or your hand. You can be introducing them to the halter. All of it can kind of be simultaneous.
Absolutely. And when, like, if you're going to decide, I want to start getting them comfortable with me handling their feet, when you start and you start rubbing down a leg, your first few sessions, it may be your success should be measured that you got to the knee.
Or that you got to the top of the shoulder with
Yes.
Elton John. That's all I did.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you start working with their feet on your brand new donkey that needs to be, it's not familiar with humans handling its feet, set your goals realistic. Don't be like, I'm going to go down here and teach Timmy how to lift up all 4 feet today. Well, work on teaching Timmy to say yes to letting you brush partway down their shoulder or with your hand. And you can safely use your hand down to maybe almost a knee. But if you don't know the animal real well, use a long brush.
We always use the long brush on all of ours. It's just recently that we've stopped. But we've had some that are like they're not nervous. Like when we're moving gates, they don't even move out of the way.
They're the ones in the way. You have to like push the gate on their butt to get them to move. So we tease them. We call them petting zoo donkeys. That.
And even with them, it's not like we just grab their foot and pick it up. We're very
It's
slow.
still a process. Even with the petting zooist wild donkeys we've got our hands on, that first day when you pet down to a knee, even on a super friendly one, that's a big, I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, we got to the knee.
Yep.
Let's go to the next leg.
And then just because one person can do it doesn't mean everybody can do it, because that trust factor is so real.
Yep.
So the first thing is, no, I forgot because it's on my other one.
Uh-oh.
So emotional regulation. So if we have one who is like in the way and they won't move out of the way, they're pretty comfortable with their surroundings.
Yes.
And then we have some where you maybe take a step towards them and then they fly out of there. They're like, I'm out of here. I can't
Some
do
you
it."
just like lean forward and put your eyes on them. They're like, oh, I'm out of here. Yeah.
And some, and all of them, I guess, really all of them. If you start to approach them, I like to pause. I call it the power of the pause. I start to approach them, and then I just pause to see, are they going to lean away? And if they lean away this much, that tells me they might be thinking about going. Mm-hmm. That's still emotional regulation.
Absolutely.
So when I start like handling them, when I was doing, I don't remember which one. Oh, it was Red. So Red was pretty slow. And I would just raise my hand next to him and say, Deet, that's our word for good job, you found the right answer. So he didn't move, he didn't fly away.
Yeah.
I would say Deet and then give him food. And before you know it, I wasn't way out here, I was actually petting him. And just one stroke, one really quick stroke to start off with.
Yep.
So that's where we're watching out for that emotional regulation. If they're nervous, well, now that's where you're going to get yourself set up to be kicked or bit or lose trust.
Yep. Yeah, you got a nervous donkey that does not trust you and you try and push your agenda, that's where people get bit and kicked and have bad things happen. Mm-hmm. So do your best to read the situation and that donkey's comfort level with you. And
you're going to get better with time on reading them.
Uh-huh.
Totally.
Absolutely. It will, if you do a whole bunch of them, like we have, it'll be kind of a second nature.
Well, but it wasn't when we started, right?
Oh boy, it was like reading Chinese upside down. That was it's quite a process learning.
It was so hard.
Yeah.
So the first one is emotional regulation. The second one is you don't have to choose feet over leading. Kind of do them simultaneously. Like if you're doing 15 minutes, I break it down to about 4 minutes. And even though that doesn't add up to 15, but remember, I don't have to follow those math rules. 4 minutes per foot. And I actually try to stick to that so I don't overwhelm them.
Yep.
Sometimes if they're really nervous, I might spend the whole 15 minutes just on one leg or one side of their body.
Yep.
And then the next session, you could be like target training with a halter and getting them comfortable with that,
Yep.
or leading if they're already haltering with one step at a time. So then the third one is small wins build up motivation. So Richard, when I had the biggest breakthrough with him, he leaned away like 1/8 of an inch, and I took 3 steps away, and then he took a step towards me. And then he started following me around the barn, and now today he followed me from through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pens. He followed me in a circle.
Did he really?
Yeah.
He didn't. Okay, I wasn't aware he'd gone. He went a long way.
Yeah, he went from right beside the barn all the way into the pen that's parallel to it. Now that's really big because Richard has had zero curiosity. He's been like stuck inside of himself. He doesn't care about us. Like it took him probably at least a month before he even knew he was in a barn. Like he could relax enough to smell the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're dealing with a donkey that does not have emotional regulation, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
They stare up into space.
Yep.
Okay, so the small wins, rewarding the try. Every time we do that, every time we reward the try, they say, oh, this is a fun game. I can try again.
Uh-huh.
It's like they build up confidence.
Yep.
1 second relaxing is a win. So when I was trying to approach Richard, I would start to approach him and maybe I would just stand there for a second, or for a second, that means minutes, and wait for him to lower his head, blink, move his ear, anything that shows that he's starting to relax.
Mm-hmm.
And all those, like really just moving their ear or blinking, yes, for a donkey, they're stoic. Guys, Stoic Sunday, they're stoic. So even that little thing makes a difference.
Yep. I think we took video of Elton right around the time of with the day of or day after first touch. He couldn't handle very much.
Mm-hmm.
I remember he let me work with him, and I broke him, and he just froze like a statue for like minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't blink. He didn't move an ear. He just he was a burglar, and someone turned the lights on. He's like, oh, I'm not gonna move.
Mm-hmm.
I remember laughing out loud how froze he was for so long. And I just stepped back and just I stayed 5 feet away and just let him come down on his own.
Now, coming down on their own, what Dan's talking about is huge. Like sometimes they'll go pout in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll face away from you, maybe with their head down, kind of like an
they
ostrich.
pout. Yeah.
And when he says break a donkey, all that means is that we have got them to their overload stage, and now we have to wait for them to come back down and relax.
Now you got a donkey that's their, hide or fight. That's their survival instinct, and they hit hide mode, which are frozen. You're not going to get no knowledge into their brain. Just give them a chance to come down and open their mind a little bit and engage a little bit more. Otherwise, it's no good for anybody to push your agenda when they're frozen and locked out.
And if you try to do that when they're frozen and locked up, and I didn't recognize this stuff with Seamus, so I had no clue. It'll take a task that maybe you can teach it in one day, and it'll make it so it's going to take like a month or a week or just a
absolutely, yeah.
longer time.
Absolutely. It's a very complicated way to get things done.
Yeah. Let's see about small wins. A donkey likes to repeat what they feel safe and successful at. So we use pay, we call it pay, but it's like rolled or crimped oats. So if we say nose, so we put our hand out, they have to touch our nose and then they get pay. Every time they can do that, they feel like, oh, I did this, and then they like food, right? So like Tony today, he likes to back up because he gets nervous.
Mm-hmm.
So his go-to is to back up. So today, all I did is I would put my hand out and say nose, and I would walk around the pen just to get him to follow me because he would try to back up. And then I would try to do nose and then deet and pay, and I would try to walk away before he started to back up. So it's a bigger release.
He's a funny guy. It just occurred to me. He doesn't freeze or lock up. He backs up.
He does totally.
He doesn't like, I'm going to hide. He's like, no, I'm going to just back my way around this pen. And I think you could probably back him 360 degrees around the pen if you.
More than once.
Yeah.
He'll just keep going.
He's just as comfortable going backwards as forward. But and then, have you ever broke him? Ever had him like lock up? I'm thinking his go-to is to back
No,
away.
he
That's
likes
kind of
to
a
back
unique
away.
behavior.
It is.
They are all individuals, so there's
Absolutely.
always exceptions to the norm. And Tony is an exception. He's a cool kid, though.
He is cool. I think he's smart as a whip.
Yeah.
So his go-to is to back up. So then I would try to just get a situation where he would need to come forward. So that was putting out my hand and then trying to walk away before he backed up. Because he would come and do nose. So he would touch his nose to my hand. Then he would take his pay. And then he would be nervous just from the movement of me grabbing the pay. And then he'd back up out of there like, oh my gosh, that was scary.
Yeah.
He really gets
It's a
scared.
lot of fun.
So if we skip the small wins, we're going to create resistance. And we don't want that. And he's not, like Tony, he's not so resistant. He's going to come up there. He's delayed. But he'll come up and then he'll back up because he's nervous. So he's trying. When we honor the small wins, we can keep getting more small wins. And then we can build on that. Kind of like a snowball, rolling it around. It's going to keep getting bigger.
And let me accentuate what a small win would look like. Let's say you're working on feet handling and you're early in this and you finally, you're patting down past the knee, you're getting now down near the ankle where you're actually going to eventually ask them to lift their foot. And you're getting them just to shift their weight just a little bit where you can see they took a teeny bit of weight off of that foot. That's a win. That needs to be recognized and rewarded. And it'll be a big thing to that donkey, and it'll grow more and more and more. Pretty soon, they'll start getting where actually they will lift up their foot. But it all starts with recognizing that teeny little try, because to them it's a huge deal. To you, it's like, well, lift your foot up. Well, no, if you got a millimeter of lean, that's a big deal. Take it.
And that motivates them, knowing that they found the right answer. They're going to keep trying.
It's a success in their mind. Success breeds success.
So then the fourth point is trust versus fear. So fear compliance training, it looks like success. So like, let's just say your donkey is froze, so now you're able to walk up and pet it. That doesn't mean it's comfortable with you.
Right.
That's fear-based.
Yeah, you lock your donkey up and you walk up and start tying ribbons in his tail and you get away with it. That's fear-based. That's not a positive event. No.
Now, when you're doing the trust-based with the donkeys, it's slower, guys, but it lasts. So when we teach a donkey to pick up their feet, they're learning to pick up their feet for us. Like our farrier was out today and he's like, wow, these guys, they pick it up. You ask for it and they pick it up. He doesn't have to pull it up. Well, that's all taught. So it takes a long time, but it's very long lasting.
Yep. Yeah, it's the longest method, but it's the longest lasting.
So what does shutdown versus learning look like? That could be something to help people understand, to tell the difference. Not blinking is shut down.
The ears are not moving around.
They stop chewing their pay.
Yep. Yeah, if they're crunching away on some oats you just gave them for the last thing they did right, all of a sudden they stop chewing. That's red flag. Give them some time. A very tight mouth or the parrot lip.
Yes. Or tucking their rear or like balling up their body, like tensing it.
Watch the tail. A tucked under tail that's tight is a defensive, they're protecting their backside with their tail, so they're a little uncomfortable. Whereas a tail that's just dangling is really good.
So now if I'm working with one and it's eating its pay, this was happening when I was on Elton John's right side. So I'm working on just petting his legs. I did not make it all the way down to his hoof wall yet, but today was the first time doing it with my hand. And on his right side, he would stop chewing his pay. I'm like, oh, I see you're a little nervous. So it's not like I needed to stop for minutes. I would just wait till him to relax enough to start chewing his food again.
Yep. If they're crunching on their oats and they stop and you're doing something with them and they stop chewing, you stop doing what you're doing and let them come down and get back to chewing. That's a nice little tell.
When they're eating from your hand, normally they are just using their lips to take the food. And this is true in our experience with horses.
Saw it
mules and
today.
donkeys.
Saw it today with
Yep.
Frank the Mustang. Yeah.
So if they start scraping their teeth, that's nerves in our experience.
Yep. Yep. From our experience, a happy equine that's eating oats from your hand, you'll feel the lips, maybe their tongue, blah, 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 blah. But when you start feeling those teeth, they're elevated and getting nervous.
And I only see that happen, or I have only seen that happen on 2 different scenarios. And I don't know, we're up to like 40 or 50 donkeys that we've trained now. So I see it when they're learning to eat oats from your hand. We've had some that are like an alligator, like they'll just open their mouth so big to your hand's gonna go in there if you're not careful. So when they're learning, sometimes I'm just like pulling my hand to let it scrape off because they just don't know what to do yet.
Yeah, they haven't learned how to safely take it from your hand yet. They're not trying to be, they're not nervous or being naughty. It's unfamiliar to them.
And if you're nervous about that, like teaching your donkey, you can always put it in a little pan or something.
Yep.
And that way they can do it where you're not nervous. And then the other time we see it is once they're already good at taking oats from your hand, because it is a learned behavior, is once they're nervous, they could start
Yep.
getting their teeth involved. And they're never trying to bite us.
No. Hey, you know what? Something I want to share, and you've probably seen it too. You ever notice when we're working with a donkey who is just getting to where you're next to them, you can handle them a little bit, and they finally are like, huh, I wonder what your face smells like. And they reach forward and they start sniffing your face and you feel the whiskers on your face. Mm-hmm. It's always magical when it happens. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like the rest of that session just goes really good? It's like they're like, huh, okay, I got to sniff their mouth and they didn't bite me, so they must be safe. I don't know. It seems like those sessions, after they give you a good sniffing on the face, it seems to go really well.
I think it can still be slow. Like Tony sniffed me all over the place today, but it's not like he stopped backing up.
Okay.
But when they do get comfortable enough to start smelling you, that means they're getting brave. That's curiosity, and that's what we want to keep pulling from them.
Okay.
So it's not magical as far as everything is going to be as what you wanted. You still have to teach them.
Well, no, we're not talking Tinkerbell and Magic Sparkles. I'm just saying the rest of the session is a good session.
I'm pleased with what Tony did today, so absolutely. But he still was backing up, so it's not like he was so comfortable he didn't have to back up. Mm-hmm. But when they do start to get there and they're sniffing your body, don't move. That's what I do. I don't move at all. They're sniffing, and I just stand as still as I can. I don't move my head. Not on these first ones. Later on you can, but we don't want to scare them. So they got brave enough to be curious. We don't want to make that a bad thing. And moving at that point would be making it a bad thing.
Absolutely. Yep.
Safe progression for beginners is the 5th talking point. So we like to do almost everything that we start at Liberty. And the reason is they have the freedom to go. If they're nervous, they can go. They don't feel boxed in. Sorry, guys. Calamity, normally we put her in the kennel, but she's pregnant. She's due a week from this Wednesday. So she's like a water buffalo right now.
She's fairly rotund, yeah. We feel bad having her go in her dog crate. So she's out here wiggling the table. So if you see an earthquake, it's just because it's Calamity.
So let's see. Starting at Liberty, because then they have the choice to go. I like to start once we can pet them, and maybe sometimes even before, with nose, because it's giving us a starting point. Mm-hmm. And once they can eat oats from my hand, that's nice. If you can't get them to eat oats from your hand, maybe they'll eat hay from your hand, and that'll give them Calamity. That'll give them like something so that you can give a reward. If they won't eat hay or oats from your hand, walking away is probably the next best thing for giving them a break, because they have to have the break so they can learn that they found the right answer.
Yep.
Let's see, calm haltering, like we start with target training with that, because at first the rope is scary. They think it's a snake. So it's just like getting them to look at it. Like you might be paying them because their head didn't move, but their eyes did. Uh-huh.
Yep, at first, if they acknowledge that rope even exists with a little turn of the eye, yeah, that's a win. Yeah, absolutely.
When we're starting with leading, I like to go just in a circle, and not a big circle. I mean, I'm walking towards their hind end, staying out of kicking range, and then I'm just getting them to lean, or maybe they take a step, and then I push my arm way forward so that they're getting more of a release from me than they gave to me.
Yep.
And then I like to also teach them to follow me before we're even leading, at
Yes.
least somewhat.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And when you start leading, I like a small pen and a long rope. That way they can't get away from you, because we've had them get away, and now they're with a shorter leader rope. Now they're being chased by a snake on the ground. So if the rope's long enough, they can't get away and be chased by a rope.
And then let's see here. When you're picking up their feet, I have a little note. When you're working on picking up their feet, it really does start with petting them with your hand. I like to start with at the shoulder, along the back, and then on their rump. Long before I'm ever going down their legs, I need to know if they can stay calm when I'm petting them in those areas. And calm. So let's say they're not calm. I was thinking about this analogy. I think this is a good analogy. When Hannah was a little girl, so Hannah's our daughter. When she's a little girl, you know, little girls get little lip gloss things. So she'd get her lip gloss. I don't have any right now, but I got chapstick. And she'd put on her lip gloss. And she's a little kid, right? Not anymore. And then she'd talk like this. So she'd get her lip gloss on, and then she'd always talk like this because of her lip gloss, and she couldn't really talk normal. So think about your donkey talking with lip gloss on. So they're not doing anything wrong. They're just a little bit nervous. And then as they get more comfortable, their body language will become back to normal, right? So if they're kicky with their feet, I don't scold them, okay? I recognize that they're nervous. If they're kicky with their feet because they've learned it, I still don't scold them. I try to earn their trust, okay? So think of earning their trust like a little girl who puts on her lip gloss and then she's got to talk like this because she can't touch her lips together. Like Hannah really always talked like this the whole time. It was so funny. All right, she's almost 28 now, so she doesn't do that anymore, guys. But with comfort, all of this stuff will go to normal and not be so nervous. Do you remember when Hannah used to talk like that?
Yes.
It was so hilarious.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking about today, like with a donkey that's not comfortable or is comfortable. Like if they stop chewing, if they lean away, it's just like a little kid talking like this because they got their lip gloss on.
Yeah.
If you guys have questions, make sure you put it in the comments. We go live every Sunday is what we're doing. I don't know how that will change in the summertime when we get more light, but right now we're staying pretty consistent with every Sunday at 6:30.
Yeah. Yeah, in the summertime, yeah. When here in Montana, there's this period of time where, yeah, it might be 8, 9 in the evening when we do that because it don't get dark here. Well, in June, it's not dark till like 10:30.
I don't know that we'll go live at 8 o'clock at night. Maybe. Would you guys watch if we were going live at 8 o'clock at night? Like that could be 10 o'clock where some people are at.
A lot of grown-ups stay up till 10 o'clock, MaryJo.
Not me.
Right? There's grown-ups, some of them stay up till 10 o'clock, yeah.
Wow. Do you guys stay up till 10 o'clock? If I'm on the couch, I fall asleep.
You know what? I got a better idea. We just gotta get that landline, the magic cable if we get Wi-Fi at the barn.
Yes.
Then we can do a live at the barn and just keep on training.
Cool. That would be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think we should vote on Dan heading that up so we can do lives with the animals.
I'm pretty much the AV guy around here. Back in 8th grade, I used to push the TV with the VCR on it on movie day.
You did.
All the way from the AV room all the way down the hallway. Yeah, without supervision.
Is that because all the remotes controlled all the different devices?
There was no remotes, and you just pushed the button on
Oh,
it.
the button. Yeah, I do remember that when you had to
Yeah.
get up off the couch to change the channel.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. So you guys, if you're working with your donkey and you're like struggling, know that it's going to get better. Richard, how long? We brought him home mid-December,
Yeah.
and I just got first touch like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
So it took till February.
Yep. You'll get there, though. Might not be as fast as you'd like. Or you one of them lucky folks, you grab one from a BLM holding facility, and it's going to seem like it escaped from a petting zoo on Roundup Day. You're going to feel like the greatest trainer in the world. Or you might accidentally grab yourself a Richard, and you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot. But he'll get there. He'll
They
be
will
just
all
as
get
nice
there.
and compliant as any other donkey. It's just sometimes the investment of time may be a little bit more than you had anticipated.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, but you'll get there. It's not a lost cause.
If you're working with a rescue donkey, expect it
Be the
to
same
be like
way.
Richard.
Yeah.
They're always going to be slower when they're rescued because they already have a reason not to trust.
Mm-hmm.
So then gaining that trust is really time consuming.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't transfer right away. It doesn't transfer like, let's say I'm the one handling it. It doesn't transfer to Dan. Dan's got to earn it on his own. And then over time, you'll have given that donkey enough experiences that trust will transfer everywhere.
Yep.
Just
Well,
takes a
even
long
strangers. Even strangers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. Don't rush. Don't try to dominate them. You don't need to prove anything. Well, I take it back. You got to prove your resume to the donkey.
Yeah, you got to prove you're safe and that you're consistent and you're
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
Gentle leadership is the key word I like.
I like that too. And they're
Yeah.
probably going to want to send everything that they've gathered from you over to an underwriter to like review and
Oh
research.
yes. Yep. I'll get back to you in 7 to 10 days.
Now, celebrate the small wins. Try to be as clear as you can. Be consistent. So like let's say I am wanting the donkey to move. So when I'm going to try to approach them, I typically want them to be up against a wall and I want them to be parallel to the wall as much as they can. When they're nervous, they'll tend to angle their hind end out towards me.
What side?
And I don't always want that because I don't want to be. Hello, thanks for joining us.
I'll say
I don't want them to be angled towards me where I'm likely to get kicked, right? So let's say I'm working with Richard because I've been doing this a lot with him.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Am I explaining it well? You had a confused look on your face.
You don't want them angling towards you so you can get kicked.
Yeah. So like if Dan's arm is the barn wall and I'm trying to get the donkey to be here kind of parallel, I don't want it to be angled away from me where his butt is out towards me.
Right. Okay. So
Okay.
yeah, you do not want them angled away from you.
Yeah, I want them parallel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now when I ask them to go, safety first. Yes, safety first.
Yep.
So when I ask them to go, if I'm like, go donkey, and the donkey's like, nope. If I stop asking at that point, I'm teaching them that me asking them to go doesn't matter.
Right.
So stay out of kicking range and get yourself big. If you sometimes I'll jump up and down or I'll shh. Like be a spaz for a second until you get ones. As soon as they lean forward, as soon as they're thinking about moving, stop that pressure.
Absolutely. Yep.
And then, so that's one of the ways we have to be consistent. And I think that's something that people forget.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had somebody over here we were giving a lesson to, and I'm like, get the donkey back parallel, right? And the donkey didn't want to move. It was red. And she's like, well, okay, we'll just work where you're at. But no, you asked the donkey to move. Get your donkey to move.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Because they learn whether we're trying to teach them or not.
They learn a lot when we're not trying to teach them. They just learn from our mannerisms. Yeah. Yep.
You know, something else I think people need to know, like, remember the spicy little girl? We had her in the gentling pens, and she was really, she's really spicy, and then she would kick out. It was like 5 minutes, and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed, and she'd start kicking out at the air, biting her sides.
Yes.
She was really bothered.
Yeah, she never kicked at us. She would just kick at the air just to relieve stress or to demonstrate her agility or whatever. It was never gestured at us, but it would overwhelm her.
So then we put her back out in the waiting pens. We're like, you know, we don't have to start gentling you yet.
Right.
So we put her back out in the waiting pens, and now we're getting ready to bring her back in the gentling pens. But she's eating from our hands. She's approaching us.
Mm-hmm.
So having that time where we're moving around, we're bringing food, we're bringing water, we're moving gates, and she's seeing us, just having that time has helped her calm and relax.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now she's out in we call it the warehouse or waiting pen. Donkey's waiting to go into training. She's out with that gang, and whenever we go out there to do anything, she's right there mooching oats and trying to sneak a sniff. And she's like, oh, God, I'm scared. And she'll run away and then come back 30 seconds later. She's going to be a fun one to work with.
She is going to be fun, but she's not kicking anymore. She's not biting at her sides.
Yep.
So just having, did she come with the November batch or the December?
She's a November donkey.
Okay, so she got here in November, and now, yeah. So let's just say November to December, January, February. So 3 months has made a huge difference for her. So if you have a donkey, know that when you're out cleaning the pens, getting water, throwing hay, all of that stuff, they're starting to read your body language.
Yep, absolutely. And the longer you have them home, the easier it's going to get. I know like some people with horses or mules, you know, they can, domestic ones, they can start, you know, some people start training them right away. Some people let them sit around a season for a week. I think it's even more so with a donkey, a wild donkey. Well, even a domestic one. We brought home a domestic donkey back in November.
Yes.
Yes, and
Unhandled.
she was every bit as aloof and guarded as a wild donkey. And then we kicked her out with the other domestic donkeys, with the other big donkeys.
Yep.
And now she's in the way when we go out there. We haven't done nothing with her. She just needed that time to acclimate to her new surroundings.
She'll be coming in so that we can be working with her feet and getting, you know, the rest. We did a little bit with her at the very beginning, but then now she just gets like the lovey-dovey stuff when we come in. And when it started, it would be just a really small pet. But now she likes being scratched and loved on.
You can pet her pretty aggressively now, yeah. She still gets overwhelmed easy, but I can't wait to get some film of her. She's going to be...
Yes. She's going to be big, like 15 hands or so when she's done growing.
Yeah, so those of you who know us, you know of Honk, my mammoth donkey, who actually we just measured her again today. She's flat out 15 hands at the withers. She's big. Now, we're learning this to be true from other smarter people than us, that you can get a pretty good height estimate on a yearling animal by getting a measurement from the top of their hoof wall to dead center of their knee. And that distance in inches will translate over to finished hand in heights. So for instance, if you measure that and you've got 14 and a half inches, that animal is going to finish approximately 14 and a half inches, or 14.2, which is
14 hands.
Yeah, 14 hands, 14.2. We haven't measured her yet, but you can see it when they're standing next to each other. Her length from her hoof wall top to her mid knee is substantially longer than Honk's. So this is going to be an interesting donkey to watch grow.
Yes. And donkeys, you start them under saddle later than a horse or a mule. You start them between the ages of 4 and 5 because they mature slower. So if you're working with your donkey and you're like, oh my gosh, you just seem like a baby, well, they stay a baby longer.
Yes. Yep.
And they can keep growing till they're like 8 years old.
Yeah.
That's pretty old.
Yo.
Let's see, what other things? If you guys have questions, make sure you put them in there. If you guys find this helpful, please hit that like button. It helps YouTube know that what we're doing is helpful for other donkey owners. Just double checking. So being clear, like when I'm asking Tony to build a step forward, I just need to be consistent with whatever I'm doing so that he knows when I do this, she gives me a reward. And that reward could be walking away or feeding him hay or oats, whatever the reward, or scratch later on. That's not a reward to him right now. So if you have a donkey thank you. If you have a donkey that you think, oh, I'm just going to scratch and love on you because that's a reward. Not always.
They got to learn to like to be scratched and rubbed. Like Tony, the donkey we're talking about right now, he tolerates being touched. He gets no pleasure from it because he's pretty elevated. He'll get there to where he's not as elevated and be like, oh gosh, that feels kind of good. Then when you can rub him longer and you see his lips start to wiggle, then you know they're loving it. But until then, they're letting you pet them. They're not getting anything. At this point with Tony, it is not a reward to pet him.
Right. It's more scary than a reward. So these donkeys that we have, they're through the BLM. So we are an adoption center. So like right now we have, I don't know, 16. No, we got rid of
A whole
6.
bunch of donkeys, yeah.
We have a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that too. So we are an adoption center. So we go get loads of donkeys and then people can come here and adopt them from the BLM, untouched, or we'll gentle them and then you can adopt them.
Yep, they're available, 2 ways. A full-blown wild donkey that's never been handled, because a lot of people like the adventure and the bond created by gentling their own wild donkey. Some people are like, yeah, that's not where I'm going to get my fun. I want one I can already pet and lead around. So we have both available. They're owned by the federal government. You can adopt them for $125 by going to the BLM online corral.
That's right. And then you have to apply, you have to show that you have the fencing and the square footage and everything.
Yeah.
Because even after we've gentled them, they're still wild, they're still hesitant. Like if you were to go out with our trained donkeys that we've had for a while, whether they're domestic or wild, they're like, oh my gosh, people are here, we're so excited to see people, we're gonna get loved on.
Oh yeah.
But the wild donkeys, when we gentle them, they're not like that yet. They get like that with time.
A foundation is laid for them to get that way. But you'll go home with a donkey that you can lead. You can have his feet picked up.
Yep.
It will enjoy being petted.
Yeah.
It will like snacks, and you know it will now enjoy being petted.
Right.
Yeah, we'll get them that far. You want to teach them to pack, ride, you can do all that on your own. But we got the basic starter model trained, ready to go for you when you're ready.
Then where do we find a good vet? We have, I suppose, 3 different vets that we use. So, like our farm vet, she doesn't have an office. So, like, let's just say she's on vacation. We need to have another vet, right?
Yep.
So we have the farm vet that we use for most everything, and then we have 2 other ones, and I guess we just called and asked around locally, like, who do you use? That's how we found Judy when we started using Judy.
Yeah, ask around. You bet.
We don't have any mini donkeys. We just have the bigger ones. So we have like, I suppose the smallest is like 10 or 12 hands,
Yeah, 11 to 12 hands.
and then bigger ones.
And yeah, bigger.
But the training concepts are still the same. So even a mini donkey, they have the same fear-based, they need trust just like a bigger donkey does.
Yep.
So I guess for finding a good vet, I would just ask around locally who people like.
Yeah, the best vetting process for a vet, little play there. Yeah, ask other livestock owners, horse
Yep.
people, mule people, goat people. Ask who they use for a vet, and get the lowdown right from the horse's mouth, if you will.
And I've never had problems with, we don't do donkeys with farriers or vets. And I also try to make sure my donkeys are going to behave well, right? So I try to prepare them for things. And if I have one that's not prepared, I already have a track record. Because they can be stubborn if they're scared. So, and then like when they have to have like their teeth floated, so they sand their teeth. When they're doing the sedation shot in the neck, that vein is deeper in. So our vets typically have a harder time finding it on a donkey than they do on a horse. That's very common just because of how they're built. Their neck muscles are pretty massive. All right, guys. Again, if you found this helpful, please hit that like and subscribe button. I think it's like half of people that watch are not subscribed. So we're working on getting to 10,000 subscribers.
Yeah, we sure appreciate you stopping by and hanging out and watching either a little bit or the whole life here. We really, really do appreciate you.
And I also want to say thank you to all of our members. We have lots of members out there. So membership tiers, there's many of them that you can check out. Some are supporting. 3 liked. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Thank you. So some are supporting and some are getting like extra videos or extra YouTube lives to go deeper into stuff. Am I missing stuff? And then coaching, right?
Because
So
coaching's big. If you're out there and you've got a troubled donkey and you feel like you're up against it in a real pickle, reach out. We'll
We're
help
here
you
to
out.
help.
Or you reach out, we'll help you out.
I just think that all the donkeys are just so misunderstood because they're awesome when they feel trusted, when they feel like they have trust around them.
And you know, they really are misunderstood because a lot of rural America either grew up with or has had or has horses. Horses are wonderful. We love horses. But they're not a donkey.
No.
And so people will try and compare a donkey's behavior to a horse. And that's like trying to compare a banana to a sunflower. I mean, yeah, they're both plants, but there's a lot of differences.
Right.
Absolutely. So
our goal is just to help the donkeys be understood.
yep, understand them.
Thank you. You are very welcome. She says thank you and she loves the donkey events.
All right, you're welcome.
All right, you guys have a great evening and we will chat with you next week.
See you next week, guys. Thanks for
Yeah.
stopping by.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.